Well, um, as we said, well, Rishi Sunak was true to his word. We reported on Sunday that, according to him, that the Peers and the House of Lords was going to remain sitting until the bill was passed. And of course, this passed roughly, I think, a little before midnight, uh, from what I've heard. And this now officially means that the Rwanda Bill is now set to become law. Now, we have covered, I don't know how many times going over the Rwanda Bill, that quite frankly, it's just not going to work. Everything that they are making about this bill, it being like this amazing, incredible bill, is going to work. It's just pure nonsense. So let's not even have a look at our plans at the moment. Let's have a look at other countries that did this. Namely, of course, Australia and Israel, who have done very similar bills and had to eventually undo them not long, almost like what, 2 or 3 years, I think, after they came in. Why? Well, to no one's shock, what did we get? Huge human rights abuse allegations. In the case of Israel, also, I think, sending people to Rwanda, the Rwandan government basically just not caring, and as soon as they're landing, just going, well, there's the door. Um, if you want to, if you want to sort of try your luck again, there you go. You can have a look at how those two other bills went and eventually were sort of, overturned. It didn't work. Didn't work for those countries at all. And of course, it is not going to work for us as well. And we're going to go over quickly just some of the reasons why it's not going to work. And then we're going to go into, well, now what? What are, of course, the consequences, of course, going to be for Rishi Sunak? No doubt, of course, he will be celebrating in some way, shape, or form today at number 10 somewhere, I am sure. But ultimately, this could very, very well be not a good thing for Sunak to do, because now, officially at this point, there's nothing else. Like, there is nothing else legislatively for Sunak's government to do. Being, of course, at the moment, one of the worst legislating sessions we have seen in decades. What have they got to pass now? It's too late to try and put anything new, because it takes at least 2 years for bills to sort of even get to maybe even a first, maybe even a second reading stage. There's just simply not enough time. And this will have consequences, and I think also potentially even spur a sooner general election. But we'll get into that more after. But before we do that, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And of course, as always, there is the YouTube thank you button and of course, the Pony Club down below as well. So, the Rwanda Bill. Why is it not going to work? Well, first of all, Rwanda, in the treaty itself, not the bill, the treaty that we signed with Rwanda to do this, it's 200 people. That is what they have said they will accept. It is 200 people. And that is nothing when you look at the number of people that just, come through illegal routes. And we've got to say illegal routes because that's what the government has said themselves, that what they deem as illegal routes. So currently it's the small boat crossings, but they could deem anything an illegal route. Maybe they could just say, well, you've overstayed your visa. That's illegal now. Off to Rwanda. So there's some very, very worrying things in the bill as well. But like I said, we've gone over those in more detail in other videos, so go check those out. But the fact that they can only accept 200 people, first of all, should just go to show you it's dealing with but a drop in the ocean of the numbers that you just see coming across on the channel. And the hope is somehow that this is going to stop these small boats and that this is going to deter these crossings. It's not going to deter these crossings at all. We've said I don't know how many times you solve this problem. First of all, you fix the asylum system itself, and then you set up safe routes. You can even set up a processing center in Calais. The French have already said, if you pay for it, we will build it. um, there is so many actual better ways to solve this problem rather than just sending people to Rwanda. And of course, that is where the troubles just start, because we've obviously had the European Court of Human Rights come out and say, hey, there is still a lot of stuff in this bill we are not happy with, still a lot of very troubling stuff. There will be challenges to this bill. There will be. Rishi Sunak can say, oh, the judges are ready to hear stuff like this. Well, here's the thing. Doesn't matter that you can just say, oh, this country is safe, because you just cannot legislate that away, regardless of what Rishi Sunak and the proponents of this bill say. You cannot just go, this is a safe country, when the evidence suggests far more otherwise. And of course, we've got to get, as we said, what happens to these people when they get there. Rwanda does not have a very good human rights record, sending people into a war zone and conscripting them into a militia to potentially, start a war over there. Something currently, at the moment, many people are indeed worried about, that the Rwandan government is potentially looking at, starting some conflicts in Africa. I'm sure that's an incredibly safe place to be sending, refugees. And of course, the other recent thing that came out, we spent a heck of, we are in a housing crisis in the UK, right? We are in a housing crisis, and constantly over this time, the government has had time and time again tried to build, housing to sort of sort this crisis, but they have failed. And for 14 years, they have failed to try and address this crisis. Luckily, though, they have actually solved and built houses in Rwanda. Again, what was meant to be for these asylum seekers. However, however, we recently learned that the company in Rwanda that had been building these houses has sold a good majority of these houses to local people. So now there just is not enough capacity of these 200 people to sort of house them properly. What's going to happen to them? Are you going to end up being in cramped living conditions? Remember, there's no monitoring going on here. There's so much stuff we are going to sort of hear in about this post stuff. This is why one of the first things Labour really needs to do is just come in and just go, yep, we're scrapping the plan. And of course, we've sent a lot of money to Rwanda. It's been a colossal waste of money to try and do this. And yet, so many other better ideas they could have done. So now this bill has been passed. What's next? Well, of course, ultimately, as I said at the beginning, Rishi Sunak will no doubt be celebrating in some way, shape, or form today. There will be some sort of big, like, hurrah if a plane does take off. I'm sure Suella Braverman will love that. But like I say, it's a thing that is not going to work. And of course, this does schedule a pressing problem that the government has nothing to do now. We talked before about how we are just living currently in a zombie government, desperate to try and do anything, with its chances incredibly and more failing again and again and again. And yet, this bill tried to pass at this moment to try and, quote, stem the tide of the losses of the upcoming local elections, hasn't really seemed to turn any tides, even during this time when the government has been trying to sort of pass this bill. Hasn't changed any opinions on the Tories. This bill doesn't really have a good idea, or at least a good, shall we say, populist plan to sort of send to people. And I haven't checked on Conservative Home, but I can guarantee you today there will be something. It will be actually kind of funny, because Conservative Home does this from time to time, where you have one article that comes out in like praise of this, and then another article comes out that condemns Like, what's just happened? So I'll be very interested to see if that happens or whether what the particular article they release. I'm sure we'll end up doing a video about if that's the case. But yeah, it is a bill that is not going to work. And ultimately, I think this is just going to hasten potentially a general election. I think there's going to a general election happen in summer. I really don't know when it's going to be, but trust me, I think we are going to possibly see one in summer. But the local elections after May the 2nd, like that is going to force a general election. Like it or not, Rishi Sunak is going to have to go to a general election. And there's rumors that apparently this week there's going to be more policy announcements of stuff he's going to do. But just trust me, it's going to be desperation. And they are going to try and do everything they can. Like we've heard the announcement, oh, he's going to tackle sick note culture. Good luck. Good luck for that, because once again, not a good sign when you're sort of going after some of the most there we go. When you're going some after the most poorest people in society to try and satisfy your political whims. Yeah, this bill is not going to sort of last long. It will end in some sort of disaster. It would not surprise me if some way, shape, or form there was a challenge in the High Court, or maybe even from the European Court of Justice. That will be hilarious if this stops it somehow. But of course, we will see what happens. But yeah, the Rwanda Bill has unfortunately passed, and it ain't going to change anything for Rishi Sunak. This is a last hope ditch desperation to try and not only appease the right of his party, but try and get some momentum back from sort of reform. And to be honest, that ain't happening because they've completely misunderstood like the public mood, how the public actually feels about the Conservatives and etc. on this moment. It is just blind sort of faith, optimism. We've heard a lot of stuff very recently about how they are hoping, or at least panicked, as to we've done all this stuff, but why is no one voting for us? We can't understand. And you've even got Tory MPs saying, well, actually, for my future career, if I ever want to be an MP again or be, be bigged up in the party, we're hearing now that you've got to sort of stand up against Sunak or be seen standing up to Sunak. So, hey, this is not going to reverse any fortunes again in the Tory parties. You are not going to see them achieve anything in the polls. Once again, you're going to see a minor. In fact, it would be more hilarious if they went down in the polls even more because of this. But I maybe would expect to see like a 1% shift. Oh, congratulations, or even just not even move the dial at all. I think that's going to be potentially the case. Just not move the dial. Like I say, this Rwanda bill is a colossal waste of money. It is not a good sort of policy to pursuing in the first place. It does not solve the problems that we see in the asylum system at the moment, which is what led to the Tories to try and pass this bill in the first place. But yeah, it's passed. And we will see what the consequences of this are going to be. But hopefully, like say, well, Labour will come in, and of course, even as Yvette Cooper said, well, we ain't continuing with this. I can see this bill being struck down very, very quickly once Labour gets in. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and of course, as always, check out the links down below, and of course, we'll see you all next time.